that proclamation with us. Everybody do it. Let's go. We're gonna turn the world upside down. We're gonna turn these people right side up. We're gonna shout until we're 6 feet over. We're gonna demonstrate something unusual. Come on. Something unusual.
Partnerships are vital to our global outreach, enabling us to take the love and hope of Jesus Christ to those who need it most. Our Boots on the Ground Partnership Program physically ministers to those in desperate situations all over the world. The Israel Partnership furthers Kim's legacy of outreach to Israel and Jewish people worldwide. We invite you to become a partner today. Join us today and be part of a community that inspires hope, brings restoration to life, and often healing from the past. Together, we can make a difference, and we thank you for your ongoing support.
There's gold in the fire. There's gold in the fire. There's gold in the fire, and it's me. There's gold in the fire. Do it again. There's gold in the fire. There's gold in the fire, and it's me. Fire is changing me. There's gold in the fire. The fire is changing me. There's gold in the fire, and it's me. Yeah. There's a voice in the fire. There's a voice in the fire. His voice. His voice is in the fire. His Spirit's leading me. Where do I go? There's gold. Let's go. There's gold in the fire. There's gold in the fire. There's gold in the fire, and it's me. But for you that are going through something, listen to me. Don't worry about the fire. Always brings pure faith and gold, purified. Now I can see a poor man standing in the fire. I can see a poor man standing in the fire. Who could be? Who could be the poor man standing in the fire? Say it! Jesus is the poor man standing in the fire. Gold. There's gold in the fire. Hey. There's gold in the fire. There's gold in the fire, and it's me. What do you see? There's a voice. There's a voice in the fire. I wonder what you hear. His voice is in the fire. His Spirit's leading me. Where do I go? That sounds so good, you guys. I can see, let's go. And I can see a poor man standing in the fire. I can see. I can see a poor man standing in the fire. Who could? Now who could be the poor man standing in the fire? Say it, everybody. Jesus is the poor man standing in the fire. So, oh, what a friend I found in you. No, what a friend I found. All my hopes, all my in you. Know what a friend I found in you. Yeah. Let's go over the friend. Know what a friend I found in you. Everybody say it. Know what a friend I found. All my hopes, all my dreams, they are found in you. Let's go. Know what a friend I found again. Know what a friend I found. Say it. Know what a friend I found in you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Code Breakers Live. I'm so glad you joined me today. My name is Donna Clement Petrushka. I am the eldest child of Kim and Jane Clement. And as you saw, I chose to start today with that beautiful song my dad wrote, Gold in the Fire. And I have some prophecy to share with you today. Excuse me, I'm in my old jacket. Let me tell you something about this jacket. It's cold here, by the way. This jacket, it's cold in the studio. This jacket is falling apart. There's a hole in the pocket. And I keep buying myself new jackets and I just don't like them. And so I keep going back to this old jacket and I love it. So excuse me for being extra bundled up today, but it is cold where I am. We were actually snowed in and Friday they canceled school. So we were just at home. I was prepared. I went to the store the day before. I made sure, because we were watching the weather, I made sure we were stocked up with food and everything we would need so that if we got stuck at home, we wouldn't be wanting for anything. So I was prepared and we really enjoyed the beautiful snow we got. And I mean, we got quite a bit. We were in Tennessee. We're middle Tennessee by Nashville. And we usually do get like once a winter at least, we'll get some snow. This was quite a beautiful, they say snowstorm, but it never feels like a storm if there's no wind or snow nados. I was hearing about the snow nado. We didn't have any of that. It was just so quiet and peaceful. And I went in, I have an enclosed patio. So I got my heater and my heating pad and my electric blanket. And I sat out there with my dogs and just watched that beautiful snow. And it was just stunning. It was so beautiful. And quiet. It's not like a rainstorm and you people that live in the snow, or I'm seeing people from Illinois on the chat and Rumble. Let me open up YouTube's chat quickly before we start. I've got a lot to share with you guys today. If you were watching my X page today, you would have seen quite a bit of stuff I started posting on there because I wanted to share it with you guys. What a week. Now, I know I was supposed to have Clay Clark on today. Again, he had to reschedule, so he'll be on sometime. But I'm going to just scroll here. Let me see what you guys are saying about the snow. Okay. Yeah, it's a nice little snow here in Tennessee East Valley. Oh, you guys love the song. Okay, so California fires. I'm going to show you some prophecy on that today. And it is actually amazing. This particular prophecy I want to show you from 2013. I posted 6 years ago on my YouTube channel. And a few months ago, I did a reaction video to this prophecy on my YouTube channel. And so you can find me on YouTube under my name, Donna Clement Petrushka, and subscribe. Please do subscribe over there. I don't post as often as we do here as we do on the Kim Clement YouTube or Rumble channels. We post everything, but I have kept that channel because not only is it easy for me to, sort of quickly share stuff with you guys, but also when I first started to post my dad's prophecies, it was actually from my own YouTube channel. Because I just wanted to have record of it and be able to share it with people. And I didn't realize how much it was going to get people's attention. And it really did. Kentucky warming up. We're warming up today too. The snow is now melting. I was able to drive over here because we live outside of Nashville, and especially when driving over here to the studio, it's a little remote. We're kind of out in the middle of not the middle of the country, but closer to the countryside. So the roads out here can get a little bit worse and not be plowed and salted as soon. But it was fun, and everything is melting, and it's just been so beautiful. All the little snowmen driving around, everybody made snowmen, and that was cool. 12 inches in Arkansas. Now, I was watching the weather. I saw you guys in Arkansas were going to get a huge dump from the snow storm, and we got, I think, about 6 inches, which is a decent amount for us. We had a bad snowstorm in February. I think it was 22. We had a pretty bad snowstorm here, and we got snowed in for a few days, and they didn't salt the streets or anything. We were just stuck. And at that point, I still had a little GMC SUV, the Acadia. It was red. And my husband and I tried to drive after that snow. We were like, oh, well, maybe we'll be okay. But it was not four-wheel drive, and our road goes down. It's on a hill, so it goes down. And so we pulled the car out, and we started going down the hill, and the car just started to slide, and we had no control over it. My husband just did what you're supposed to do. You just turn the wheel and go with the way the car is going. And so what happened was we slid like this and then went forward and ended up down the street, perfectly parked in front of one of our neighbors' houses. And we couldn't move the car until about 3 days, until the snow had melted, before we could get my car back. So after that, when it came time to trade that car in, I was like, I'm getting a four-wheel drive. Whatever it is, I don't care. I don't need anything fancy. I just want a four. So I got a four-wheel drive Chevy truck. And so now I have a better vehicle to drive in such weather. But even with a four-wheel drive, you can still slide all over the road. So that makes me scared. I don't like that, because what happens is you are just not in control at all. And I hate that feeling of just being in a car and there's no, because I slid in a car once in Dallas when I think I was about 18, and I'd driven a friend home, and I was very sick. I had the flu, and I drove my friend home, and driving back on the freeway in Dallas, I just thank God that there weren't other cars. There were hardly any cars on the road. And I was driving my parents. They had a big SUV. I forget which one it was, but they had a big SUV. And it spun like 3 times in the middle of the freeway. And I just prayed, because it was just the worst feeling. And I couldn't control anything. And luckily, nobody was on the freeway when that happened to me. So I just spun 3 times and ended up facing the right way and just kept going. It was insane. So
Donna, people are asking about Christy.
Christy is fine. She's okay. She had actually planned to fly into Nashville this week to film for Saturday's broadcast with me and just be in studio and do a few other things, and has postponed that trip because she doesn't want to leave in the middle of what's going on there. But she was evacuated, but she is okay. And we'll keep, and I'm sure on Friday, she does Israel Update on Friday. She should be able to give us a little update by then, or perhaps even by Wednesday. So we will keep you guys apprised of what's going on with all of our team in California. Someone's asking what happened to Christy. Christy's okay. She lives in Los Angeles. And we have another studio. Our original studio is in Los Angeles. So we still have Pastor Faw, who does church on Wednesdays on our network. Pastor Faw is there. A lot of our ministry team is still there, that help us edit and things. And some people are here and some people are there. They can't hear you. So just wait a minute. So we have a few people in LA, but so far everyone is okay. She has a cat. Someone's bringing up her cat. She's got her cat and her daughter, but they're okay. So you notice I titled today "The Song of Ice and Fire," which is actually the Game of Thrones, the title of the Game of Thrones book. But the reason I did that is because I wanted to point out what was going on here this week, because you saw the West Coast on fire and the East Coast in ice and snow. And I thought about these prophecies of my dad's, and there were so many that started to come to my mind. So I want to share with you today the prophecy I was talking to you about earlier, the 2013. I think we're going to start there. Then once we've talked about the fires, I want to talk about the debate with Billy Carson and Wes Huff. You guys saw, if you follow my X page, you've probably seen I already posted quite a few links. I did that so I could share stuff with you guys today. So I kind of over posted, but I saw a sequence of events happening. So we had the Billy Carson Wes Huff debate that happened the end of last year. I didn't find out about it until recently, but that it did happen in November. And then Billy Carson is he's one of these. He wants to start a new religion and write the Bible again, and he says the Bible is a fraud, and that Jesus was never crucified or resurrected, that he was married to Mary Magdalene. These are old Gnostic, and a lot of the stuff that that people base these findings on is because they are not properly educated on how we came to the conclusion for the Bible. There was a great deception about the Council of Nicaea and Constantine and how the Bible was put together. And because people, we can't all be historians and linguists and do all the studying. And so, a lot of the people that ascribe to these beliefs are also deceived. They think that that's what's going on. And so, somebody says Billy Carson irritates. I know he irritates me too. He is so. Listen, there is a video of him, his reaction video after he did the interview and debated Wes Huff and was destroyed. I mean, destroyed. He was completely humiliated. He was trying to stop them from posting the interview because it was so bad. And then he was threatening people with lawsuits and trying to silence people and trying to say, oh, he was so sick. And what ended up happening as a result of this is Wes Huff ended up on Joe Rogan, which it's amazing. And so there's I want to talk to you guys about that too. So let's go with the fires first. We're going to cover that because there's stuff you've got to see about that. And then we're going to talk about this. And I really encourage you guys to follow Wes Huff. He is God prepared that man for this moment and put him right in the right place at the right time and exposed the devil. My goodness gracious. And poor Billy Carson is not the devil. He is deceived and a very proud, angry man. And yes, nuts. Somebody said he's nuts. He is nuts. Not Billy Crystal, Carson. Billy Carson Terry. And he's one of these new age people who is attacks Christians, hates. What came out is how much he hates Christians, and it really manifested. And he does a reaction video, and there's times in that video where I'm like, you sound like the devil. You sound like Satan. So, and James, he's not Satan. He he's sort of a lost soul, and he's angry, and he thinks that the problem with him though is his ego. That was exposed as being a very big problem amongst many other things. And so we want to pray for him. We don't want to hate him, because the thing is, he's probably in the place he is because Christians were awful to him. And I can say, being that my dad is a prophet, and of course this is can be a bit controversial in Christianity, I have found that some of the most cruel attacks I've gotten have come from Christians, unfortunately. Who just, you get the messages all in caps about you're burning in hell. And this is not productive. It's fine to disagree with me. Hey, I don't know. I tell you guys that all the time. And I'm always the first one. You saw me post about Amy Coney Barrett. Now, wrong I was about her being the Esther, because I was wrong. And this is something we need to be able to say, okay, I was wrong. And that doesn't mean I'm going to burn in hell for all eternity with my Father. Christians, please stop doing that. Because what happens is when you do that, people like Billy Carson emerge. So we have responsibility in this as well. We also have a responsibility to understand our faith and where it comes from. And this is I mean, it's bad enough most Christians aren't even reading the Bible, so they certainly don't know where it comes from. And this is a plan of the enemy because he can use it against you and cause doubt in you. But it's like, okay, you should question things, but there's no need to have that doubt, because if you actually understand how the Bible was put together and how old and what it all means, if you know, then you won't be deceived. So we have a responsibility to know without having to be historians and linguists. And so I really encourage people to, somebody that Teresa's saying was probably hurt in the church. So someone like that gets hurt in the church. Christians, they get this idea about Christians because all they're seeing is us in all caps shouting about them going to hell. When it's our responsibility to actually represent Christ properly as Christians. And I don't remember Jesus one time screaming and shouting at people that they're going to hell. And there's no answer to it. And then it's, oh, you're going to hell because you don't believe the theology that I ascribe to. So we need to be a little bit open too. So there's a balance. And it's very important. This is a different time than any other time in history. I mean, my dad used to talk about the religious spirit. And so oftentimes we'll look at like the Catholic Church, which is kind of obvious, that situation, that but then again, there's Catholics who are true Christians and good people. And look, we don't like the Pope right now. And I'll show you what Mel Gibson has to say about that too, because Mel Gibson, the very next day or a couple of days after Wes Huff is on Joe Rogan, so then Mel Gibson comes on Joe Rogan. And so you have 2 days in a row of Joe Rogan, who has historically been very against Christianity, has been shouting all the stuff that Billy Carson was shouting about how terrible Christians are and how it's all nonsense and none of it's even true. And what we saw was him get checked as well, but he was much better at handling it. I mean, he was very humble about it, and he's starting to realize that there are some things that are not true that he has been believing. And so we'll get to that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now is look at this prophecy, which is from 2013. And this is coming from, today we're just going to take it from my YouTube channel, but we've put this on Prophetic Rewind more than once. And I absolutely love this. And so what I want you to pay attention to when we watch this is, number one, he's singing about the fire. Now, you heard Gold in the Fire at the beginning of this broadcast, which is it was one of my favorite songs my dad ever wrote. I love it so much because the gold in the fire is you, is me. And of course, I'm not minimizing what's happened in California at all with the fires. But what I'm saying is that, and when he's singing about that, he's actually more referring to the baptism of the Holy Spirit, but also the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, where the fourth man standing in the fire is Jesus. And so the gold in the fire, in order for gold to be refined into something beautiful and molded into something that's actually, whatever you have, jewelry or whatever, it has to go through the fire. And so how fitting that at the beginning of this year, as we're about to enter Trump's second term, as was prophesied by my dad and others, but definitely my dad, hands down, saw it like no one else. I've not found anyone else. That we see these fires raging through Hollywood, and what we've learned so much about what's been going on in Hollywood and the truth, and how, not in a single movie are they allowed to talk about Jesus, except for if it's bad, almost. They have movies about Jesus and they have TV shows about Jesus, and that's it. But you'll notice Christianity and Christ are of every other. You never hear about Allah. You never hear Buddhists being the Buddha. You never hear them mock and put down the way they do to Jesus, and that says a lot. And a lot of that has come from Hollywood. And people have had it in their contracts that they're not allowed to say his name. Why would that be? That's very telling to me. So I'm just reading the comments here before we move. Okay, so let's go into the prophecy. Now, at the very beginning of this is a different prophecy than the one that we're going to be watching. And it was kind of made into, they edited it into a cool video. But he's prophesying, and this is, if you go to my YouTube channel, this is like, when you go to the YouTube channel, they have like an introductory video that just automatically plays. This is mine. And it has been for 9 years now. So, in the beginning, this first one is a different prophecy, and then we go into the 2013 prophecy. So, go ahead, Lou, you can... Am I doing this or... No, I'm doing it. That's right. Here he comes. I forgot. We've got a few things to play for you today, and some of them I'm doing. So can I just do that?
Yes, and push play.
And then push play. Okay. Here we go, everybody.
Prophesied this, that he said, this is the time for that major revolution. Now is the time.
Wait a minute. No.
Prophesied this, that he said, this is the time for that major revolution. Now is the time.
His word is like a fire, so have no fear. Come on, come on. His word is like a fire. Sing it with us. Throughout the earth. His word is like a fire. So have no fear. Come on. No fear. No fear. Come on. No fear. Throughout the earth. Come on! Our warriors prophesy. His word is like a fire. Throughout the earth. Do it again. His word is like a fire throughout the earth. Throughout the earth. His word is like a fire. Shut up in my bones. Come on. Come on. His word is like a fire. No fear. So have no fear. Oh yeah, His word is like a fire. His word is like a rock. His word, have no fear. His word is like a fire. And I pray that that fire would come into you right now. Let that fire enter your body and be healed. No fear. Yeah. His word is like a fire. Yeah, His word is like a fire. Throughout the earth. His word is like a fire. So have no fear. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I want you to lift your hands and begin to shout to the Lord, shout to the Lord. Come on. His word is like a hammer. Breaks the rock in pieces. His word, His word, His word. Throughout the earth. Come on. Come on, come on. fall like lightning. I can see something fall like lightning from heaven. I can see something fall. Darkness falling. Light, light, light. His word is like light. His word is like a light. And I can see something falling from heaven right now. And I can see something fall like lightning. As if struck by light. As if struck by light. I'm going to speak to the principalities of the air right now. You are struck like light. Struck with light. You are struck with light. To the forces and the principalities of evil throughout this marble, I want you to know God's word is like a fire. That His word is light. Oh yeah. You are struck with light. 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 And lift your voice and shout to the Lord. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, here we go. That's off. Spirit of God says, prepare yourself, planet Earth, for that which I did in the 60s and the 70s. I have revealed that this is that time again. But it shall not be like then, where it is restricted to just a few continents. This movement, says the Lord, will begin again in California. And there shall be an economic boost in California. And they shall say, but why California? Is it not the hellhole of America? God said, I don't care what it is. I will take the economy of California and show America that I will take the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. That I will take the low things of this world to make my light shine. And America shall look at California and say it's impossible. Look at the economy rising up. And I shall rejoice, for it shall not be as a result of the economist, but it shall be as a result of the movement that is beginning to take place. Liken unto the Jesus movement, it shall begin with the Hispanic people. For the Hispanics shall say, we must go into the streets, to the highways, to the byways, to the back street alleys, into the prisons, and suddenly all throughout West LA, it shall spread and spread and spread, from house to house, from prison to prison. I shall reveal myself, and the movement shall explode, not only here, but in America. And there
shall be young people, and they shall invent, and they shall compose. And they shall say, what must we do next? They shall take over the internet. They will take over the internet. And then it shall go viral, and they shall say, Jesus is cool. And they shall speak that name. And it shall go from house to house, and my fire shall consume the criminal activities in California. And then it shall spread to New York. Then it shall spread to the South. And I will unbuckle the Bible belt. I will unbuckle the belt that is in the Bible belt. And they shall explode with joy. For this nation is ready for the greatest breakthrough ever. And it shall be called a revolution like never before. Come on, give the Lord a shout. Come on! His word is like a fire.
Okay, I got to stop for a second. I was going to stop before, but that's so anointed. It is so powerful. There's so much promise. So everybody looking at these California fires and saying, what are we going to do? God has a plan, and he had a plan a long time ago. And if you can see what my dad, the song, now he's in California. I don't know why. I guess I hadn't figured out how to put dates on this. I posted this years ago. So I posted this video 6 years ago. And I actually can't think of the date off the top of my head. I don't know, Blue, if you remember. It's in 2013. I believe it might be March of 2013. We'll get the date for you guys. But if you want to watch that, you can go to my YouTube channel to watch. I did a reaction video on this. Every time I do it, I cannot stop the song because it is so powerful and so good. Okay, so those of you in California, there may be people watching right now. You're in California and you may have lost your home and you've lost everything. That you must understand the powerful thing that is happening in California right now, and what is so devastating. What has happened? What has happened is that the corruption in the leadership has been laid bare, and anybody trying to say that this is climate change is a fool who has been deceived. So. You know what? I won't say fool. I'll say they've been deceived. A lot of people have been deceived on the climate thing. But what we do know is that as a result of this, there was no water in the fire hydrants for the fire department to use. The mayor was over in Africa just having a grand old time over there. And when they brought her back and questioned her, she couldn't even say anything because they had redirected the funds for the fire department and for the things they need in that area. They had redirected it to a bunch of nonsense, and they didn't have the money because these leaders are corrupt, and they have used California, in particular Hollywood and that area. And let me tell you something. I lived there for 13 years. I know exactly. They didn't take it out. It wasn't filled because there's a fish that they were trying to protect, and they didn't want to redirect the water because of this fish. And so there was no, whatever the excuse is, there's that has been exposed. So as a result of this, the things are being, they have arrested 20-something arsonists so far. So there are people setting these fires. If anybody tries to tell you it's climate change, pray for them. Don't even bother arguing. Just pray. Because it's not from climate change that this is happening. It's from mismanagement of funds, not doing the things that they need to do in the state. And I'm telling you, someone who lived there. I have been through one of those fires where it almost burned my parents' house down. My dad had died at that point. It was 2018. But some of you will remember me being live on Facebook with Trey Smith. And I'm driving, and Trey Smith is hanging out of the window of my car. We were driving the wrong way down the road. Because all the cars were trying to leave and they were all lined up going this way. We just went the other way and drove into the fire. And he's hanging out of the car and the fire's blazing around us at my mother's house. So I know firsthand what it's like to be dealing with those fires. And it is scary. And they don't clean it up properly. And the forest floors are a mess. They should be doing, there are things that other countries that are forest nations do. To prevent this kind of things, in California hasn't been doing it because of all their climate nonsense. And so things have been exposed as a result of this fire. And you heard what he said. He said it'll begin in California, and then it's going to spread to the East Coast and then to the South. And then God said, I will unbuckle the Bible belt. and they will explode with joy. And so there, as with prophecy, something my dad always used to say was, if you're in a moment, you're so caught up in the moment of things that you're dealing with, especially if it's bad, that it's difficult to see. That's why one of the reasons why God would use a prophetic voice or a prophet, because the prophet sees what is God going to do out of this, and God has a plan. And you heard what he said about the Hispanic or Latino community in West LA, and how this fire motif is continued throughout the prophecy. So without him directly saying at such and such a date and time there's going to be a fire in California, we know that there's always fires in California. So it wouldn't have been productive for God to present this information through my dad by simply saying at such and such a date and time there's going to be a fire. He's talking about a much deeper thing going on in California, and what God's counter to that is, and what God has promised, that we can now stand on that promise in this moment and say, we know how bad this moment looks right now, but we know what God has promised, and we will not let go, because something is going to happen. There's going to be discoveries. He prophesies about the Big E, and we're going to keep on going with this video in a minute. Someone's talking about Sean Feucht. I love Sean Feucht. He's such an anointed. He worshipped with my dad. He met my dad, and Dad had him, I think, playing guitar somewhere. I don't remember. But he's very anointed, and he's also really just stuck it out there in California. So I'm going to just go back to the video now and keep playing it a little bit more, because he actually prophesies his own death in a moment. And so it's very interesting, this video. So let's go back there and I'll start it again.
His word is like a fire to melt the What I saw when I was captured, I went between time and space and eternity. It was like I was going through a curtain, through a doorway. And I saw things and I heard things. And I said, but Lord, so many have looked with disdain upon California. So many have looked with disdain upon America. And yet you have spoken kind words through me. Why did you send me to this nation? Why did you send me to end my life in California?
Did you hear that? He said, why did you send me to end my life in California? And 2 years later, a little over 2 years later, my dad suffered a stroke, and within 15 months of that, he died in California. And so how interesting that he would see that. And we didn't really notice it at the time. It was sort of, he says it like sort of an aside, and you wouldn't really think of it, but like how much prophetic meaning just in that statement right there is, why would you send me? So many have spoken with disdain upon California and upon America. Why would you send me to California? Why would you send me to end my life in California? And so I always, that was something I discovered after he died. Actually, it didn't make sense until then. And just so powerful. But anyway, let's keep going.
Lord, as I was praying, the Spirit began to show me things. I saw emblems for the prosperity of his people. Your soul must prosper first, he said, before anything else can prosper. The soul of this nation has been wounded, not from outside, but from inside. Self-infliction upon the soul of this nation. I stand not in the presence of good only, but I stand in the presence of evil. When the angel came to Daniel, he said, oh, greatly beloved. Then he came again and he said, oh, highly esteemed Daniel. When he came to Gideon, he said to him, mighty man of valor. I heard these words, good words, from Malek Yahweh. I heard these words coming from him. The angel of the Lord has been commanded by the light of the people who are praying.
Yes.
He has been summoned by the people, and he is resting his feet upon nations while the battle rages, setting a flame to those who are ready. I heard him speak of this nation and other nations that he has chosen. Asia, singled out by demonic powers to cripple this nation. I say, ha! I laugh at them who would think that the Spirit of the Lord that brings liberty would be so easy to trick. Asia, you and your young ones in North Korea, in South Korea, in India, China, Hong Kong, and all the regions of the Far East to the Middle East will link up with young people in America. This revolution shall spread, and the sounds will be so unique that it is undeniable, and church leaders will stand up and condemn it as they've done before. These Pharisees mean nothing to me, for the soul of this nation is agitated. Where does our energy come from? Have I not told you? The time is coming, and now is, where it shall be revealed, but how unusual shall it happen. I saw emblems. I saw 2 crowns. I saw 2 crowns, golden crowns, an investment. I saw 2 big leaves, and they were blended together. And then something unusual happened. I was taken into the atmosphere, and I saw a formation of a planet. Now, I'm not even sure in my own mind what this means, because I don't know. I'm not that bright. But I saw planets being formed, planets that were not, that will be. And in their formation, a strange light and an energy. They shall say this, there is no such thing as that planet, but it is something that is being formed at this very moment for the purpose of my people. You are that important to me, says the Lord, that I would do something that is not yet, and bring from it and fashion that which will make you and your children prosperous. Do you believe that I'm able to do it? Go, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, lift your voice. All over the world, begin to celebrate. It's beginning already, come on. It's beginning already throughout the earth. You're not even seeing it yet, but in the streets of LA, the streets of San Francisco, I'm moving. My light is moving throughout the earth. Another Jesus revolution. Come on. Everybody throughout the earth, everybody watching throughout this globe, say yeah.
Okay. So, wow, you guys, I'm sure you can see. You can take that down now, Lou. I mean, I can't watch that without getting. But now that I've been watching with the fires and how he's, you again, you have this motif of the fires, little flames in little houses, and setting a flame. It's not to say that we are happy about the fires, but what I'm seeing is this is the moment. Yes, West Virginia Mountain Mama on Rumble is saying the Jesus revolution, and this is when he starts seeing that they're going to say Jesus is cool. The young people are going to take over the internet. And what do we see? We now have podcasting, and we have young people who have a platform that would never have had it before, and discussing things that are not filtered by networks that are controlling what is said. And so, with all the bad that comes with social media and the lies and deceptions, there's also so much truth. And we have to have the faith to know and understand and believe that the truth is what sets us free and that it shines bright. The truth is like a bright blinding light, almost like Saul of Tarsus is blinded by light of truth. And so, it's not always an easy process. Like the gold being formed through the fire is not pleasant when it's happening, but as a result you get this beautiful thing. And this is what's happening. I believe this is what's happening in this moment in California because of the timing too. There's fires, that we've had fires in California, but nothing like this. And like I said, how much of the enemy is being exposed through this, of what the enemy's plans are. So I'm so encouraged by that prophecy. And I really, if you guys want to watch it, you can. Are we going to share, Lou? Can we share that the link to that video in the description, Lou?
Yes.
Can we share?
I'll put it there after the book.
Okay, so we will have some links.
The other ones are there.
The other ones are there already. Okay, so we have some links in the description today, and it's stuff I want you guys to watch from what we're about to get onto next. But as far as this particular video, do you know the date?
No.
It's 2013. We can just look it up. Did you want to say something?
Yes. The awards ceremony that they had.
I have it. I'm
You
going to
have
show
it?
it. I have
Oh,
a video
yeah.
of it on my X page.
Yeah, where they said God is not here.
Yeah. No, that's the next thing I'm going to be sharing. I just want to make sure that people can watch because there's more to that prophecy. And if you go to my page, I'm going to be able to find the date for you right now. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see the more recent one I have is a reaction video I did a few months ago to that video. Let me see. I'm going to go to 2013. I'm just looking up the date. I think it's March 2nd. Let me look. Your word is like fire. Okay, so it's March 2nd of 2013 is the date on that. So if you want to go into our prophecy database on our website or in the app if you have that, March 2nd, 2013. I'm putting that in the chat. So March 2nd, 2013 was the date. And you can go to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to write in the chat here. If you search my name, just like that I put in the chat, Donna Clement Petrushka, you'll find my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it. And you'll be able to see not only that one, but if you scroll down to like 6 years ago, I don't have a lot of videos on that channel, so it's easy. Scroll down and you'll find that that's there. Now, when I posted this video, you can see I posted it 6 years ago. It's actually closer to 7. But I didn't know how to add dates to a video yet. So at that point in time, I had just put because this is something. I knew this was something. 6 years ago, I knew, and I've looked at that prophecy over and over again. And today I really feel that we're going to start to see a lot coming to pass because of also what did he say about energy? The big E is a major topic we've been discussing just yesterday on Codebreakers Analysis that we do every Saturday at the House of Destiny Network. You can go watch that if you're on our YouTube or Rumble channel or on our website, on our app. You can see Codebreakers Analysis. We talked a lot. We played some stuff and covered some prophecies about the big E over there yesterday. So if you haven't seen that, I encourage you to go watch that because we really did delve into that because we are no, we haven't seen it yet, but we feel that we're getting close to that time of the big E. And people say, well, what is the big E? The big E is the new energy my dad prophesied about for years, and death to debt for America, and how it'll be on the ground and under our feet. They can use it as fuel, and that through earthquakes and eruptions, this new energy would be discovered. So, although these are disasters, like natural disasters, and in the case of these fires, I don't think it's natural. When you have these kind of situations, it's what is God going to do out of this? Do you think he's just going to leave us? No, he's going to make something great happen out of it. And so we do certainly grieve with. I don't want people in California to think I don't. I lived there. I know about California and the fires, and it's terrible that people have lost everything and that lives have been lost through this. But God's not going to leave it alone. And I'm here today to tell you, because of what we just watched and what was promised, and because my dad has a good track record, because he has accurately seen better than any living prophet today that I know of. Someone else can point me in the direction of someone who's seen as much as accurately as my dad. Please tell me. And because I'm actually quite keen to find other prophetic. I love finding other prophets and how did they do it and how do they see and how accurate are they. So I would love to hear that. But so far, regardless, my dad has an excellent track record, and so we've seen the fulfillment of so much of what he prophesied about Trump. So now we must look toward these other things, the Jesus revolution, what God's going to do with the youth through the internet, the discovery of a new energy that will be beneficial to the United States of America. Now we're looking at Trump with Greenland and all this is happening. So I'm going to go over to my X page now. Let's see, Lou's going to take me over to my X page because I need to. How am I doing this now, Lou? Here he comes. He's coming. There we go. Oh, I should have done that. Sorry. I see. There. Great. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to have a look here at my X page. Because now we're going to go into Billy Carson and Wes Huff before I run out of time. Because I love this guy, Wes Huff. He's great. So I'll tell you about him a little bit if you don't know already. I know a lot of you have seen this because it's just gone viral all over the internet. Let's see. He goes under forbidden knowledge. Let me just see if this is the one I want to play. I've got so many here. I'm not going to be able to play all these for you, but you can go on my X page here. This is a good one. No, let's not do that. Yeah, let's do this one. Okay, so anybody who doesn't know who
in podcast,
we're praying for him for certain. I'm not going to make this bigger. I'll just play it in the screen because it's just a quick video.
In podcasts, I have been noted as saying it's quite possible in maybe 3 podcasts.
Jesus wasn't crucified.
Never got crucified.
It's quite possible that Jesus never died, that he may have been married. And his Merovingian bloodline could still be on the planet till this very day. I know these guys are jumping up and down over there. Oh my goodness, we got to debunk this. We got to go ahead and do what you got to do. Listen, man, I'm the king. I'm the GOAT. Okay.
He's the GOAT, guys. He's the GOAT. He seems to be watering down the things he said on prior podcasts, because what I remember is him saying, we discovered a gospel, the gospel of Jesus' wife, that shows that he did. And now he's like, well, I only said it could be the case. He really seems to just be backtracking, gaslighting, watering down what he said when this just isn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, that whole theory comes from the book Holy Blood and Holy Grail, which is capitalized on by Dan Brown in the Da Vinci Code. But neither of those are historical sources. They're modern fiction. If you're relying on those for the bloodline of Jesus, you're not doing research. You're studying fictional novels.
So that, in a nutshell, is what has been going on, and it has run rampant through the internet. So this guy, Wes Huff, gets on this other guy's podcast and does a debate with Billy Carson, as I told you earlier. Billy is completely humiliated because and I'll show you in a second. He was relying on a falsehood about the Codex Sinaiticus, the Sinai Bible, and taking from the Gospel of Barnabas, which is dated in the medieval times, 12th, 13th century, and actually has a quote from Dante's Inferno in it. So it's not really a reliable source when you're trying to debunk the divinity of Jesus, or that he was crucified, or try to say he was married. Now, the reason that this is important to me, though, is because I personally when the Da Vinci Code came out, and I read Holy Blood, Holy Grail at the time. I was in my early 20s, and I thought, oh my goodness, we've gotten the whole story wrong, and I'm trying to get it to my own self. Say, well, I'm fine with it if Jesus was married, because I was fine with it. It didn't make I'm not a Catholic, so it didn't make a difference to me if he was married or not. But I was so young, and you know, like he just said, these were fictional things that had. It didn't matter that it was fictional. It had an extraordinary effect on the young people, especially at the time, and people who watched that movie who wouldn't, at no fault of their own, wouldn't have known any better. But look how the movies, we're getting back to Hollywood again. Look how the movies have influenced us and how we think, and like we just heard Wes Huff say, you're basing your worldview on what was written in modern fictional novels. And so what happens is Billy Carson does this debate with Wes Huff. Wes Huff destroys him. So if anybody wants to watch that, we have got the links in the description for the debate, which Wesley Huff ended up actually posting it on his YouTube channel, because the original podcaster had Billy Carson was threatening him. So showed up at his house at 2:30 in the morning, banging on the door, telling him not to post the video because he was so destroyed. I mean, it was a complete humiliation. And unfortunately for Billy Carson, he sort of is representing the enemy. No, not him as a person, and I don't want to be like that, but you really, when you watch like the video we just watched, you see him talking about I'm the GOAT and stuff. If you watch that live stream, because he did that live stream after the debate with Wes Huff, there were times where I'm looking at him like, man, you look like the way you're talking, it sounds like the devil. Like literally, you're like representing the devil right now. So it really opened my eyes to some things that it didn't really affect me as far as my faith, but I did believe, for instance, I believe the Council of Nicaea was where they put together the books of the Bible, and it was not. It was not. And that lie woke me up, because I thought that this whole time, I've thought the Council of Nicaea, which was like 500 AD, I thought Constantine was there, and I thought that's where they got all the books and said, okay, these are going to be the books in the Bible. And that is not true. And I was wrong. And you know how much that, I can't even tell you how mad it made me, because I believed a lie. I believed a lie. Okay, listen to what happened.
Billy Carson is attempting to sue me. For those of you who don't know, I was invited to interact with Billy on a podcast that he agreed to come on. It was not his podcast, where he was notified beforehand who I was and what we'd be talking about. After that debate took place, Billy attempted to suppress the footage. That didn't really work. I've released clips from that conversation. Well, Billy does not want you to see those clips and has sent me a cease and desist letter. I was really hoping that this could be an opportunity for Billy to learn, to see the major errors that he's been repeating and turn this into a learning experience. I even offered to follow up with Billy in order to show him how and where he could find accurate and credible resources in order to make sure that what he was saying was verifiably correct going forward in the future, so he and his audience could learn and proceed knowledgeably. Billy did not agree. But unfortunately for Billy, agreeing to a debate, losing that debate, and feeling embarrassed about that loss does not constitute legitimate grounds to litigate. Billy, I will agree to all the terms and conditions of the cease and desist letter that you have sent me if you agree to run it back, sit down with me in person, and have another discussion. This is my formal response. Billy Carson.
So Billy Carson then tries to sue him. My husband was out in the snow yesterday. He went caving in the snow. Look how white it is here. You see? Just blanketed in snow. So beautiful. So here's some stuff on this.
But in that Bible.
Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
Here it is.
When you say the Sinai Bible, what are you referring to specifically? Refer to the Sinai Bible. Would you be referring to Codex Sinaiticus? Like the codex that comes... Okay, that's why I was trying to get some clarification, because I actually have a facsimile. So I have a photocopy of Codex Sinaiticus that I work with in my office. So I have it here. And the only reason I asked for clarification is because Sinaiticus in particular is just a 4th century Greek manuscript. Its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. When you say that it denies the crucifixion or that the crucifixion isn't there, I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up Matthew 27. Where it has Jesus being crucified, and that's in Codex Sinaiticus, or John 19, or any of the other ones. So my confusion is that it doesn't read any differently.
Where was that piece
I found
discovered?
the text where I was referencing. Actually, I was misquoted. I misquoted there. It's the Gospel of Barnabas. Never got crucified. As a matter of fact, the Sinai Bible, Jesus was crucified. Well, that doesn't exist in the Sinai Bible. The Sinai Bible. The Sinai Bible. But then you go to the Sinai Bible. In the Sinai Bible. And the Sinai Bible. According to the Sinai Bible, Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible. Yeah, actually, it was missing.
So you can see how bad that was. I'm not going to play this one. But there's some stuff here. I'm not going to play all this right now for time. But if you go through my X page, you'll find I should share some links. In the description of this video today, you can watch the full debate with Wes Huff and Billy Carson and the other, I forget the other guy's name. And you'll notice in the beginning of the debate, the interview, you know, they're talking, and then they, you know, Wes Huff gets on there and just destroys the whole foundation of Billy Carson's entire belief system in a few minutes. And after that, in the interview, you'll notice they don't really let Wes speak again. And then Billy Carson gets up and leaves in the middle of it. It was, oh my goodness. So I was talking about the Council of Nicaea. So I posted this earlier. I want to play this video. See if this is going to work. Okay, just check something here. There we go. Okay, so just watch this clip, and this is going to explain it very nicely. It's not playing? Oh. No, I just clicked on X.
Yeah, it's open YouTube, so you have to switch it.
Oh. So how do can I just play that? Yeah. Okay, he's going to fix it for me, you guys. Oh, you have to replace it. I see. Yeah, no, I know. That doesn't really matter though to the thing. The point being made is what God is doing right now in this moment, and how much he's exposing of the devil's lies. And I'm going to play you a prophecy before I leave today. I see. Okay.
For the Roman Empire, though, because they were.
Oh, listen, I just want to warn everybody to, I think he says a bad word here, the S word, the host of the show. So if there's children around, take them away, because he does say. Tally's asking if Clay Clark, wait, I have not talked to Clay about this yet, but I will. So let's have a look.
Still torturing Christians at that time.
But the Roman Empire is still pagan by the time you get the Edict of Milan and the decriminalization of Christianity.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So what? So how would the Roman Empire have gotten along with the acceptance of what the Gospels are?
Oh, they don't. No, this is established by Christianity.
Yes,
so Christians,
I know that.
So Christians already have the 27 books that we call the New Testament.
And who would you say established that? Like, it may not be one person, but like what people said, yo, this is what we're going with.
So there are lots of canon lists within the early church. So,
okay, watch now.
So one of the earliest heresies in Christianity was a belief called modalism. That believed that God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit were actually the same beings and persons reflected in different modes. So in the Old Testament, the Father was God, then the Father becomes Jesus, dies on the cross in the mode of Jesus, and then now in the church age exists in the mode of the Holy Spirit.
Bravo. Okay.
Yeah. And so early Christianity jumped on this, and they were like, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense philosophically. It doesn't make any sense theologically. It would mean that Jesus is praying to himself. That's not what Trinitarians believe. And ultimately, it led to what is referred to as patropassionalism, that the Father died on the cross in the person of Jesus.
Oh, okay.
And
I
they
got
said,
it.
we don't believe that. Okay. So Arius is seeing some of the ways that Trinitarian theology is being articulated. And his motivations are actually, I think, correct in that he's trying to guard against modalism, which had been, I think, appropriately condemned by the church as something that doesn't actually reflect what we see within the scriptures. But while his motivations might have been correct, his method was then to kind of overcompensate and develop this theology where the Father creates Jesus at a point in time, and so the Son and the Spirit did not exist eternally as God, whereas God the Father existed eternally as God. And so his bishop, his kind of the guy in charge over him, actually says like, hey, this is not true.
Too much. Yeah.
It's not accurate from what we see, and they actually hold a mini council and they condemn him there. But
What year is that?
so this is like probably it's between 320 and 325.
Okay,
but
so
it's
just
leading
before.
up to the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah.
So this is the topic of the Council of Nicaea. The topic of the Council of Nicaea actually had nothing to do with the books of the Bible. So the books of the Bible had already been established centuries before.
Not
An ad. I did not expect an ad.
for the Roman Empire, though.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Sorry.
Meaning this is where the Roman Empire officially kind of makes their shift to like, yay, we're Christians now, right? Like that's
So it isn't.
It isn't.
No. So Constantine converts to Christianity, but he doesn't make Christianity the imperial religion of Rome. That's
right,
under
not lawfully. Right. I
yeah. So
understand.
that's under Theodosius, which is after him.
But it becomes accepted as a result of this.
It becomes decriminalized.
Yes.
Previous to this, before he even converts.
Okay, so Council of Nicaea was the decriminalization of Christianity, of reconciling an issue with the understanding of the Trinity. And this is where they did the, what is it called? They'll tell you in a second here.
Right, but I'm saying like the Council of Nicaea now gets to, our emperor's converting. By the way, Christians, it's cool. You're decriminalized. You can be here, and we kind of support it. You don't have to be a Christian, but that's fair to say, right?
Yeah. But the caveat to that is that the Council of Nicaea doesn't even talk about the books of Scripture. So nothing at the Council of Nicaea has anything to do with the canon of Scripture. That's already an established fact. And
When?
Oh, within the 2nd century. Within the 2nd century,
But for the Roman Empire, though, because they were still torturing Christians at that time.
But the Roman Empire is still pagan by the time you get the Edict of Milan and the decriminalization of Christianity.
I know. That's what I'm saying. So how would the Roman Empire have gotten along with the acceptance of what the Gospels are?
Oh, they don't. No, this is established by Christianity.
Yes,
So Christians,
I know that.
So Christians already have the 27 books that we call the New Testament.
And who would you say established that? Like, it may not be one person, but like what people said, this is what we're going with.
So there are lots of canon lists within the early church. So because the earliest Christians were Jews, there was an understanding that the promises that God makes, you might have heard the word covenant before. So the covenant that God makes are always followed up by written documentation. So God makes a covenant with Moses, and you have the literal inscription in the tablets, right? Yes. And then you have the law. You have the Torah, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers, that come together with that. And then when you have the prophets declaring things to the people and declaring truths that God is telling the people of Israel, sometimes it literally says, inscribe this on a tablet, write this on a scroll. And so there was always an understanding between the promises of God and written documentation that led up to that. And so when you have Jesus come on the scene and he establishes the new covenant, which was prophesied in Jeremiah 31:31, which says, God says, I'm going to make a new covenant with my people, and I'm going to inscribe the law in their hearts. So they're not going to need the written law in the same way. They're going to live in a different way. And so that's the cultural expectation during Jesus' day, is that the Messiah would come and he would establish this new covenant. So Jesus predicts this in the sense that I would argue he fulfills these expectations and these prophecies, and then he predicts his own death and resurrection, and then he pulls it off as a sign and a symbol that he's overcome death and that he's been approved by God. And then I think the natural and organic question that people would ask, these early Christians who are Jews themselves, is, okay, we have the covenant, where are the books? Because the Old Testament was a story in search of a conclusion. Because there was this idea that you have these, well, there are 39 books in our Old Testament, a Protestant Old Testament. They're the same books in a Jewish, it's called a Tanakh, the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim.
Right.
The same number of books, but they put them in a different order. So,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, so they have the same number of books as the Jewish alphabet, as the Hebrew alphabet. And so they do things like they group all the prophets together, whereas the Christians divided them up. We have 1st and 2nd Chronicles, 1st and 2nd Kings. The Jews just have Chronicles and Kings.
Got it.
And so if you were to go out and you were to buy a Hebrew copy of what would be the Hebrew Scriptures, what we would call the Old Testament, they would call the Tanakh. The last book in that Bible is going to be Chronicles, whereas the last book in the Christian Bible is going to be Malachi. And the reason for that is we've organized it more or less chronologically. He's the last prophet, whereas the Jews had this idea that they ended the book with the Davidic reign and the expectation that someone would come and fulfill that.
yeah.
The Messiah is coming.
Yeah.
And so, interestingly enough, the only 2 books in the Bible that start with a genealogy are Chronicles and Matthew. And I think the reason for that is because I believe, and I'm not alone here, there's an idea within biblical scholarship. Matthew knows that he's writing one of these documents that would have been considered the graphe, the writing as part of the scripture that would have been included within the scriptures that followed up the covenant. And so where does he start? He starts where the Bible that he has leaves off. It starts with the Davidic expectation, tracing Jesus back in that lineage. And so we see this cultural expectation. So even though we kind of have this idea that somebody somewhere got together and voted on books or tried to reach some consensus about books. And realistically, that never actually took place in history. It was a lot slower and a lot more organic than that. And there were disagreements on some books and not others. So very, very early on, you have the Gospels. Nobody disagrees on the Gospels. And
Nobody disagrees on that.
no, everybody agrees that these are the 4 books.
What? Everybody?
Well, all the Christians. So here's the thing. The disciples of Jesus had disciples. And those are individuals who we call the apostolic fathers.
Yeah.
Because they have a direct association
It's
with
like a bloodline almost.
Yeah. It's like the paper trail that goes back to the chain of custody that goes back to
Yes.
Jesus.
Good way to put it.
And part of this is that we have individuals who know Mark. And we have individuals who know Mark who say, hey, this Mark guy is not a disciple, but he's a traveling companion of Peter. And he follows Peter around and he writes what Peter says.
Thank you for watching the
Okay, so I just wanted to share. We're about done with this now, but I just wanted to share that and let you hear that today. So anybody who might not have known or understood the story, that's the story. So if you watch the Da Vinci Code like I did, and I know a lot of you didn't, but I was young and I just kind of, I wasn't obsessed with it or anything, but I just thought, oh, well, it doesn't matter. That's fine. I mean, but it does matter. It does matter because there's been a lot of lies. I mean, do you know how many people follow Billy Carson? He's got millions of followers, all people who are angry at Christianity and want a reason to say, oh, it's not true. It's all a lie. And it's turning out that the more information that comes out about this, the more we find that it is not a lie. And another thing that I sort of was covering a little bit in my X page, I'm going to see, let's go back, is, let me see here, about Christmas and the dates. We've just been led to believe that it was, Christianity just sort of adopted pagan dates, but it's actually turns out, and it's really easy to verify this, that it's not true. That pagans, as they were seeing the decline in their belief system and their religion, and Christianity was growing so much. There's even a complaint I just read about people complaining about how their temples were empty because so many people were converting to Christianity. And so what happened was they can actually date the birth of Jesus probably pretty close. They did the genealogy and the his conception being in March, counting 9 months forward, it would be around the 25th of December. So it's not a pagan holiday. So we've been lied to about a lot of things. The Christmas tree, for instance, all of you people, all the people that shouted at me about a Christmas tree. The Christmas tree actually comes from Christianity. They did now this is, I think, going back to the 1st century, or probably 2nd. They did what was called the paradise tree. And they would put fruit on the paradise tree because it was kind of like an homage to Adam and Eve, or sort of celebrating that. And so that's where the Christmas tree comes from. The pagans adapted a lot of Christian things. And this is the, what's beginning to come out more publicly. So if you were in academic circles, or if you were, hanging out with someone like Wes Huff, or going to school for this stuff, you already know. But isn't it interesting too? Somebody said about Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks was in the Da Vinci Code, and look what's happened. Look what's come out about him. Do you know that his house was the only one that didn't burn? Like one of the only ones that didn't burn on his street. Everybody else's houses burned down, but miraculously Tom Hanks's was saved. So we'll pray for Tom Hanks, but man, it's not good. So we're about out of time today, but I do thank you for joining me. I'm just scrolling through here. You can see 126,000 homes destroyed, 104 confirmed death, 60 billion in damages, and that was in Western North Carolina. And look at the difference between how they're handling this disaster and how they handled North Carolina. Those people are still intense. So, a lot has been exposed through this. And I encourage you. Okay, this is what I'll play this for you. This is what Lou was talking about. So this is the day before the fires started.
Acceptance speeches have been on fire. Who got shouted out the most? Let's look at the numbers. God, creator of the universe, 0 mentions. No surprise in this godless town.
This is the view from an airplane from KTLA photographer Paul Sanchez as he's giving us an aerial perspective to the devastation in the Palisades. Sky 5 unable to fly due to a temporary flight restriction put in place because President Biden is in charge.
Listen, you guys, that's pretty scary. Because look what happened the next day. I mean, God is revealing himself. And let me tell you something, you better have that fear of God. You have a relationship with him you love, but you better remember who your maker is. And don't just go throwing around stuff like that woman did there at their awards ceremony, where they all show up and pat each other on the head about how great they are at pretending to be other people for a living. And so, there's a problem with that as well. Oh, here's something else cool I wanted to show you. So this is Hurricane Helene. Remember, they found this Bible was the only thing that survived, and it was open at the book of Revelation, Revelation 14, verse 7. The same thing, I think I have it here. Is this it? Same thing has happened in the fires. Somebody's found the only thing that survived. All that stuff burned, but the Bible did not. So that's the theme today, the Bible being the Word of God. And how that's the truth is beginning to come out. And then, of course, Mel Gibson was on, there's a fire NATO. Snow NATOs and fire NATOs, my goodness gracious. Here's, here, I'll play this quickly. This is Mel Gibson talking to Joe Rogan. So he had Wes Huff on, Joe Rogan did, and the next day he had Mel Gibson on. Man, God's doing something.
I mean, we got a pope that brought a South American
See what happened here with the Pope.
Church to worship.
Really?
He did. The Pachamama. He bought the South American, and he got.
I don't know what that is.
It's kind of like a South American god, Pachamama.
Why would he do that?
Good question. But he did.
So he brought that in.
Yeah, into the Vatican. Then The hierarchy even worshipped it. They had a ceremony around it outside. So-
What?
well, that constitutes apostasy.
Yeah,
Jay.
worshiping false gods.
Yeah. Moses goes up on the mountain. He comes back down. People are worshiping a golden calf.
Yeah.
You know, it's that.
Yeah.
So you can't do that.
Do you think there's a motive behind these things?
I don't think you. Well, probably.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. But it isn't good. I think. Look, I think we're looking at a world where, and this is in the next film I'm going to do. I'm going to try and tackle this question. That there are big realms, spiritual realms. There's good, there's evil, and they are slugging it out for the souls of mankind. And my question is, why are we even important? Little old flawed humanity, why are we important in that process where the big realms are slugging it out over us? And I think there's bigger things at play here. And institutions that purport to touch on the divine are necessarily going to be affected by that slugfest that's going on between good and evil.
Right. And sometimes good gives up ground.
Yeah. And maybe not on purpose.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe there's some deception involved or
Right.
self-deception.
Yes. Co-opted.
Like every morning when I wake up, I actually pray that I don't deceive myself.
Powerful. That is powerful. And you know what, you guys? I'll tell you
I
this.
mean, we got a pope that brought
Just pause
a
that.
South American.
My dad prophesied over Mel Gibson before he made The Passion of the Christ. And what he did was he didn't see him in person. He sent him a letter. And in the letter, he basically told Mel Gibson that this movie that you're wanting, this is before he made Passion of the Christ, before he even started making it. He said, there's a movie that you're wanting to make and you're not sure if you should make it. And God said, yes, you need to make it. And Mel Gibson carried that prophecy that was written down in his pocket throughout the making of The Passion of the Christ, which we went and watched at our church. Our church aired it, and we were we were living in Texas at the time, and we're at Covenant Church, and we went and watched that movie at the church. And so my dad has this connection to Mel Gibson, not only in that he looks like him, although not anymore, but when they were both young in the 80s and early 90s, people used to think my dad was Mel Gibson all the time because he had the South African accent. Mel Gibson was Australian. And he prophesied over him that he would make that movie. And so now Mel, when he says the next movie I make, he's talking about the resurrection, which is the next he's going to make the resurrection. So I'm so excited. I mean, nobody ever makes movies about the resurrection. It's always the crucifixion. I want to see what happened after he rose from the dead. Like, how would that be portrayed in a film? 40 days, all kinds of things were going on. So I cannot wait. And yes, everybody who's asking, if you just go to Joe Rogan's YouTube channel, you will see Mel Gibson and Wes Huff on there if you want to watch those interviews. And again, we did put some of these clips and more in the description and within the chat there. I was throwing some things in there. And people were asking if I have my own YouTube channel. So yes, I have my own YouTube channel. It's Donna Clement Petrushka. And if you just search that, you'll see me in there, and you can follow me as well. Which, it's just my little channel, but I do put stuff up on there sometimes. I have that, like I said, the prophecy we watched today. I have that. I did a reaction video to that a few months ago. So yeah, God is doing things, and maybe not in the way we expected. Some of it we do because my dad prophesied and we can see what's going on, but there's some incredible things going on right now. And so I encourage everybody to follow Wes Huff and people like that. Make sure you're informed. Don't let yourself be lied to, because even I believed some of those things, and I was, growing up in the family, I didn't know. So don't feel bad, but realize that it's very easy to deceive you if you don't know, and the devil will use that. So I included in there the Billy Carson, someone who covered his live stream. I couldn't find his live stream, but he did that 3-hour live stream, and the whole time he was looking at it, and he was like smiling and saying awful things, and I kept thinking, you actually sound like the devil. Like the things you're saying, just you sound like the devil. And so the devil's fighting very hard right now. Things are changing. They're changing very quickly, and it's good. So even though we may see these things happen around us, and we are praying for you in California, especially if you've lost your home, if you've lost a loved one or a pet. It's really scary what's going on there. But God is doing something, and we're praying for that, and we're praying for you. And I was going to play a prophecy for you guys. It was prophesied over me and my parents, but I'll save that for next week. I'll probably post it. I'll post it on my X page, and we'll talk about it next week because we're out of time. But thank you to everybody for watching today. For those of you who are supporting what we're doing here at the House of Destiny Network and building the legacy of my dad, I encourage you to join our partnership program and partner with me in digitizing and gathering all the prophecies, because there's lots we don't have on video. So you can join the Prophecy Vault. You can either use the QR code. If you don't like QR code, just go to the website, kimclement.com, houseofdestiny.org, and look for the Prophecy Vault, and you can sign up for that. We will, of course, always have the prophecy database just for free on the website. But if you join the vault, you're helping me build that legacy up and the library of prophecies. So it's not only transcribed, but we have the videos with the transcriptions and a link to the original broadcast from that very website where you can watch the whole broadcast. You can see in context what was going on. We really have a lot of resources in there, his teachings, his books. There is so much. And so someone says the X clip is talking over me. Is it? I thought it was gone. Here, I can get rid of it. Is it, Lou? It's gone. Oh, someone's got a delay. Okay, never mind. Okay, so everybody, it was an interesting... The Fire and Ice, Tracy is asking about the Fire and Ice. The Song of Fire and Ice is the name of the books that the Game of Thrones was written. And I just did that just sort of for fun because I was over here in Tennessee, like covered in ice and snow and watching the fires. Someone's asking me to invite Mel. Oh, I wish I could. If I could do anything, I would ask him to play my dad in the movie about my dad's life because he looks like him. And also because of their connection that they have through the Passion of the Christ and my dad prophesying over him and people thinking he looked like him. And it would just be lovely. But I've never met him and I don't know how to do that. So anyway, if God wants that, it'll happen. And I want what God wants. So I thank you all for joining me today. I've got to go, but we'll be back. Don't miss what we have coming up at the House of Destiny Network this week. Prophetic Rewind will be up tomorrow. And you know what? I think we should just put that word is like a fire up for March 10th. We're just going to replay that one again on Prophetic Rewind because I think you guys need to watch that whole thing. It is so powerful. And that bass line, Charlie Jordan, da-dun, 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 da-dun. I love that bass line. So thank you, everybody. I see all your well wishes in the chats. I thank you so much. I say chats plural because I've got Rumble, I've got the House of Destiny chat, I've got X, I've got YouTube, all of your chats. I'm seeing all your comments. And so, yeah, I guess it kind of was clickbait. I didn't mean it to be clickbait. I just was trying to think of what to title it. You know, it's always such a thing trying to figure out what to title these things. And so I looked at Lou and I said, I had just been watching about the fires all day, and I looked around me and there was nothing but snow and ice around me. So I said, the Song of Ice and Fire. But I wasn't meaning it to be clickbait. It was just a cool title. And you want to have a good title for your visit. Well, what's the Game of Thrones song? Oh my goodness, no, we're not going to do that. Okay, everybody. Now we're getting silly. I've got to go eat. All right, I love you all. I'll see you next week. Hello, friends. I'm Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. My father, Kim Clement, carried a unique prophetic anointing that allowed him to reveal God's heart and divine truths in ways that continue to resonate deeply today. His prophetic words, teachings, and worship moments are not just history. They are a living testament to God's ongoing work. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my Father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. This treasure trove of spiritual wisdom and revelation is here for you to explore and be inspired by. But that's just the beginning. We've also enhanced the prophecy database, meticulously updating it with new video content and profound insights. This is more than just a collection. It's a living resource where you can delve into prophecies and see how they align with today's world. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. As part of your membership, you'll also gain access to my prophecy blog, where I break down and analyze my Father's prophecies, connecting them to current events. This blog will provide you with exclusive insights and a deeper understanding of how God's word is unfolding right now. And we're offering something truly special: exclusive analysis sessions available only to members of the Prophecy Vault. These sessions will go beyond the surface, providing in-depth exploration of specific prophecies and their implications for today and the future. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. Together, we can ensure that my Father's prophetic legacy continues to inspire and guide generations to come. So, I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside.